Our second award recipient grew up not too far away in Nina, and she has devoted her career to dealing with Ireland's legacy of abuse. So she's been at the forefront of developing progressive solutions to the complex fallouts of sexual violence, in addition to effective child protection strategies. She's passionate in striving to make Ireland a society where children are safe from sexual harm. As Executive Director of 1 in 4, she and her team are making a huge contribution to a cultural shift in Irish society on attitudes and perception of child sexual abuse. Regularly called up by the media as an expert in her field, she has also appeared before the International Criminal Court as an expert witness in sexual violence. Ladies and gentlemen, I would love if you give her a lovely warm round of applause today. Please welcome the 2019 recipient of the UL Alumni Award for Outstanding Contribution to Society, Maeve Lewis. So Maeve, congratulations.
Many thanks, Ruth.
And somewhat like Breed, you spent several years working as a teacher before retraining as a psychotherapist. So what prompted the career change for you?
Well, when I did my European Studies degree in the dark ages, I have to say, I went to Trinity and did a HDip and taught for several happy years in City of Dublin VEC. But I was always interested in women's issues, and I mean, back in the 80s, there were issues that had to be addressed. We forget how Ireland was then. So I became a volunteer counsellor in the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre, and I just became fascinated with the power of counselling and psychotherapy to really help people transform their lives. So with the really great support of my long-suffering parents, I went back to UCD and did a psychology degree, and then did postgraduate training in psychotherapy.
And so, tell me a little bit about your time overseas. You spent time in Yugoslavia, Rwanda and Sierra Leone. Not easy places to have worked.
No, while I worked in the Rape Crisis Centre, the war in Yugoslavia broke out and we saw all those terrible images of rape camps, essentially. So we got funding for Foreign Affairs. We went to Yugoslavia and we set up training schemes for professionals there. I mean, that was really shocking to me because I was meeting men and women my own age who'd had lives very like mine, well-educated, professional jobs, so on, whose lives had just been ripped apart by civil war. And then, I mean, it really made me think how fragile our democracies are and how easily conflict can just change everything overnight. Later on, I worked in Rwanda after the dreadful genocide there, and then in Sierra Leone. Most recently, the International Criminal Court invited me to go to the Congo, again, another utterly failed society, to meet some of the women who'd been raped in terrible conflicts there, and I gave evidence in a case, and the man was actually convicted recently in a very landmark case in the International Criminal Court. Now that was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my whole life, but happily it has become a landmark judgment there.
Fantastic. In your role now leading 1 in 4, you are credited specifically with bringing to the forefront, into the open, the hidden problem of child sexual abuse in Ireland. It's a really difficult challenge, so how did you go about that?
Well, I lead a fantastic team of people, and we were instrumental in getting many of the statutory inquiries into clerical abuse in first instance, which I think woke us all up to the very hidden and ubiquitous problem of child sexual abuse. Of course, then many thousands of very courageous survivors came forward and began speaking about their experience. And again, we work very closely with policymakers at every level of government, making submissions and so on and so forth. I was just talking to Dr. Ed Walsh there before, during dinner, and I mean, our training in European Studies, writing endless essays and reports and so on, have come in very handy actually in my current job.
I remember those as well from European Studies. To reminisce a little bit then about your days in NIHE, you did say it was during the universities, or you did say it was during their dark ages, but in the dark ages, it's not that long ago. How was the experience back then? I mean, you must surely look at the campus now and...
When I came to college, there was Plassey House and the red brick sort of building where the library and one of the lectures theatres were. There was only about 1,000 of us. My year was the very first year where there was four first year, second year, third year,
Yes,
fourth
yeah.
year. And of course, we'd our colleagues down in the PE college. I mean, it was just a different world. We lived in Limerick, everybody did, in bedsits mainly, in, when I think back, freezing conditions and so on and so forth. A bus didn't even come out to the college. You got the bus up to the top of Castletroy and had to walk down, or we hitched out in those days. But I mean, the European Studies degree was such an intellectually stimulating degree. It's one that, I mean, to this day I could tell you all about the Common Agricultural Policy and all those things. But I mean, there was such a camaraderie at the college. And Limerick, actually, despite it was a very different city then, was a fabulous place to be as a student. Great music, great whatever. I remember in my fourth year, I had a bedsit on Cecil Street, about 2 doors up from Tom Collins's. So my bedsit became a sort of collecting point for everybody on our nights out and so on. So we had great fun. And again, I mean, I made friendships in college. Some of my old college friends are here with me tonight. I suppose I would say one thing though. I mean, when I left school in Nina I think I did my Leaving Cert in 1975, it was quite unusual for people to go to college, and particularly for girls to go to college. So I have 5 younger sisters, and every one of us ended up getting a third level education because our parents believed that was possible. So my dad sadly died 6 years ago, but I'd really like to pay tribute to my mum, who's here with us tonight, for the huge sacrifices they made to put us all through college, and gave us the start in life that we were all able to, in our different ways, go on and do
amazing
things,
things, as you have been doing. Well, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, can we applaud again our 2019 alumni winner? I'll take the microphone off and you can take another bow if you so desire. But thank you so much. Maeve Lewis, ladies and gentlemen.